would those of you who are sitting on the inside of the table just turn your chairs around? Those of you on the outside, come and get in these chairs over here. And this table right here, ask the four of you to get up and bring your chairs around. If you guys will just turn your chairs that way, and the four of you bring your chairs, and we're going to move this table back a little bit to make a little bit more room.
You got me in and out.
Oh, thank you. That's good. There you go. Emily, I'm going to move your... Oh, you're okay?
Yeah.
All right.
I was just trying to help move back.
Welcome, come through there.
We'll have kind of like an oblong. There we go. You have a chair over there? I'll grab one over here.
All right, let's remember our downloading.
You got Alex in there? All right, I'll sit over here by Mike. There we go.
We're close.
Nice.
What were some of the things you were talking about? Themes that popped up, connections you were making to a lot of inputs.
Any reactions you had?
Well, I was totally blown away about the young kids grabbing the White House. I would not have expected that at all. Because they live in an African-American family. To me, it seems like it would be more natural to grab the African-American family.
So why was that so shocking?
I mean, it just, I don't know, it just really was. I would not have expected that.
And that they thought that the white was good and the black was bad.
Yeah.
16 out of 21, that's a pretty high number.
Sure.
Okay, what I was saying, share with my group, was that I would be interested in knowing a little bit more about the background of the students that they interviewed. Because unfortunately, depending on what socioeconomic grouping or where that child grows up and what they've been exposed to often influences their decisions about what they feel is beautiful. And if I'm guessing that those kids may have come from a group of lower socioeconomic where what they see are constant negative images of blacks and positive images of white in the media, portrayed out in the media, or even in their circle, in their homes, you know. And so they learn that if I'm black, that it's going to be something negative attached to it, and if I'm white, there's something positive attached to it. I wonder if you present that to different socioeconomic groups, again, and you included people who were from varying levels, what the response would be to those calls.
Let me ask you this. What?
A little bit more information.
Okay.
Solid.
But this is just to your point about information. A little bit more information about the young ladies who actually did the video, who were interviewed. They were from a very prominent school in New York.
The kids, the ones that were the dolls,
No,
the
what
little
I'm saying,
kids.
the ones who were actually making the comments. So the ones,
Not those.
They're talking about children.
I know. So the data I'm giving you is that they were making those comments as well. So I'm wondering if that makes any difference to you.
It doesn't, because the comments that I heard from those kids were along lines of division within the black race, with light skin and dark skin, and how I view beauty in that regard.
Let me ask you a question.
Okay.
Let's say socioeconomic status does not play a part and that it didn't matter. How would you feel?
About the video?
No, how would you feel?
About what I view as beautiful?
I'm not on
Your reaction to the video was, I wonder if it was lower socioeconomic because then they see more negative images. And then my question is, let's say that's off the table, how would you feel?
And then I would be disheartened by what I saw. in terms of them selecting on a repetitive basis that something or someone white portrayed something good and that someone black portrayed something negative. It would be very alarming to me. But I just personally feel like socioeconomic does play a huge portion in what I did see.
So if it doesn't, you would be very alarmed.
You know what? And it's still disturbing even across socioeconomic lines for me. But the thing about it is, I just think that in different sectors, we have so much negative images that surround, like when I think about the kids that we work with in inner city, and that's what they see every day. And unfortunately, their schools are located in those same sectors of the community. They never come outside of that circle, so all they see is in school, is back in their home community, and they never get a chance to see the world any differently from what they live in.
I kind of different, and I shared this with the group. I said, you know, I'm just taking the generation of those young children, and I was looking at their facial tone when they made those decisions. And basically what I saw wasn't so much of and I experienced integration in 4th grade. Boom! You know, I lived a separate life until that time. Well, I didn't see the stressors in those kids' face when they made it. It was more like choosing a zip code. I mean, it really, that's what I was looking at saying, you know, this picked it up. Yeah, this, and I'm thinking that's sort of like, that's the life. That's, you know, I don't really see me as bad. I just see that's the life I want. I mean, that's just an opinion that I gathered. Now, I saw more tension and heartache, particularly with the child with the glasses who is darker skinned and, you know, contemplating using bleaching creams and this sort of thing. I thought, wow, that's got to hurt. You know, that's a self-image thing. The other, I just thought it was like choosing a zip code. But that society, you know, white Anglo-Saxon is so much more prevalent. Advertisings and everything. I mean, gosh, if you got a company and you're selling widgets, you're going to sell to the 98%, not the 2%. That's a self-image thing. The other, I just thought it was like choosing a zip code. But that society, you know, white Anglo-Saxon is so much more prevalent. Advertisings and everything. I mean, gosh, if you got a company and you're selling widgets, you're going to sell to the 98%, not the 2% of that community.
I want to revisit where we seem to be focused on media, and when I first saw that doll selection, I was a little bit surprised, only because I felt that these children had grown up with many more images of African American families in the media, and I'm focusing, let's say, on the Huxtables. And whereas with my growing up, I remember the hoopla with Lieutenant Uhura and you know, the first positive and long-running black images on television. Then when you were talking, I'm thinking of all the other images that we have with music and with advertising and with things that, with television shows that are geared to attract to bring out what in my opinion are the baser instincts of humanity. And they're there. I mean, you know, the Clampetts running around in Beverly Hills certainly didn't appeal to the most esoteric of any human being, but I see a lot of things out there that I almost wish my students wouldn't be watching, because I don't think it encourages them to achieve something different, something, in my opinion, that is higher and a better calling for them. And I wonder, you know, advertising, media, does that really play this big an influence? Are we being hit with that? You know, 80% of people in men's prisons are black men, and of that 80%, 82% or something will be back in prison, and you know, and things like that. Is that something that kids pick up? I'd like to throw that out there. What the media? What influence does that have? The influence that I fear that it does.
Sharon? Sharon, and then
and not necessarily
one.
The media, but
Two.
Yeah,
Yeah, Sharon.
Okay.
is one, and then Willie's two.
Well, it shocked Alex and I, it didn't surprise our table mates. But what they said, as mothers, it's difficult for them to find African American dolls. They said they can't find them in the store. You have to go early. You have to go. And see, I never thought about that. And it could be, maybe I'm hopeful that it's a lack of familiarity for those young girls or those young boys, that maybe they don't have African American dolls to play with. So maybe I'm hopeful, let me say, that we can put it on that after hearing them say that they can't find them. They're not available. They're not marketed enough.
Okay.
So that was interesting to me because I didn't know that at all. I didn't think about that.
Right. Okay. Two? Willie, you were two.
Oh, okay.
Barbara's three.
As we were discussing at our table, I don't think it's so much color, black or white. I think it's as Dr. Franklin said, the value that has been put on black and white. If you are lighter skinned or you're white, you're considered to be more successful, have more power. You can even take it back to the dictionary. I mean, black is defined as opaque, doom, associated with gloom, but white, purity. So, you know, it's the value that's been placed on the two colors. And as I shared with Dr. Franklin, even growing up, my grandmother treated some of the grandkids differently because of colors of their skin or the texture of their hair. And so, yes, media does play a part in it, but as you heard on that film, this little girl said her mother told her.
Family structure, yeah.
So if you see in your family where lighter skinned people are getting treated differently than the darker skinned people, then you start to associate that with either being successful or being good or being bad. So I think that has a lot to do with, you know, the color. And I shared about, even when you were talking about the Willie Lynch theory, but one of his strategies was, well, you know, I'll pick the dark-skinned blacks against the lighter-skinned blacks, okay? And the lighter-skinned blacks usually worked in the kitchen, ate a little better food, dressed a little better. So I started to get thinking that, hey, I am better, okay? I do have a little more power than you that worked out here in the field as a darker skin.
Barbara, you want to add?
He took my conversation.
Roberto?
I want to add to that, being from New Orleans, it's still that way.
It is.
There's a light-skinned section of New Orleans, and there's a dark-skinned section, and the lighter-skinned still act as if they are better. And some of the dark-skinned feel that they're inferior, but it's changing somewhat. But that's been ever since I was a kid. Now I'm 50 years old, and it's still going on right now.
Joseph?
Yeah, the Creoles and the dark-skinned.